Shalom, brothers and sisters in Yahweh, and welcome. Here we go. We're starting another new book of the Extra-canonicals. Tonight, we're going to start into the intro to the book of Jasher. Okay? So if you have a Dead Sea Scrolls book, go ahead and grab it out and open up to the introduction to Jasher, and we'll start going over this tonight. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And I hope that this is going to be a good study for everyone, to where we can learn something from it. Gaining knowledge and wisdom. That's what we're doing here. Alright, gang. Everybody got something to drink and all settled in and ready to go here today? Alright. I'm really excited about this study. I think it's going to be a really good study. So, let's get started, okay? Alright. History of the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher, or Sefer ha-Yashar, is referred to in the book of Joshua and 2 Samuel of the Holy Bible. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher, 2 Samuel 18. And the second one is not this written in the book of Jasher? Joshua 13. Okay? Alright, let's get started into the introduction here. Jasher is a Hebrew word meaning upright. Remember, words have meanings. Okay? In Hebrew, words have meanings. They're very important. That's why your translation means a lot. The word meaning upright. Jasher is not the name of the author or any prophet or judge of Israel. As scholars had previously thought. The name refers to the fact that the record, facts, and history are upright, correct, and thus trustworthy. The value of the book of Jasher is seen in the large quantity of additional detail revealed in the period between divine creation and the time of Joshua's leadership over Israel when the Israelites entered into the land of Canaan. Okay, so this is based between the time of creation and the time that Joshua took the children of Israel into the land of Canaan. Okay, after Moshe dies. The book of Jasher includes details about the antediluvian patriarchs, angels, watchers, the flood, the Tower of Babel, and many other events mentioned in the Bible. The tales are expanded and infused with detail not previously available. There's our 64 box of crayons, guys. Get them out, sharpen up your crayons. Remember when we were kids how you get a 64 box of crayons and they had the sharpener on the outside of the box? Yeah, let's sharpen up them crayons and get ready because this is going to be a good one. This means we receive insight into the lives of Abraham, Noah, Enoch, Joseph, and many other biblical figures. We come to understand how they became great and why they acted as they did. We are also given hitherto unknown knowledge of historical events. We are shown how Yahweh's hand shaped history through his love and anger. We see how his disappointment with men and angels ended in earth's near total destruction. We learn how the power of Nimrod, the great hunter, arose. We are told how all the animals were guided to the Ark of Noah, and why the Tower of Babel was attacked by Yahweh and angels. Such detailed accounts bring the Old Testament into an understandable focus. According to the Encyclopedia Judaica, Volume 14, page 1099, Jasher was probably written in the 13th century A.D. However, some scholars have proposed various dates between the 9th century and the 16th century A.D. There are three separate and different books named Jasher. However, the Mormon Church, otherwise known as the Church of Latter-day of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, considers this rendition of Jasher to be the book referenced in the Old Testament. The belief of the church leadership is bolstered by the preface in the 1625 version, which claims its original source came from the ruins of Jerusalem in 70 AD, after Rome burned Jerusalem to the ground. Jasher is held in high repute by Mormons, but is not officially endorsed by the Mormon Church. The official stance of the Mormon Church falls short of making Jasher part of their Holy Scriptures, but does endorse the book as being valid and authentic. The Mormon Church places the book of Jasher on the same level as other apocryphal writings and states in the church magazine, The Ensign, after reviewing the standard scholarly analysis of how the book appears to have been composed of old Jewish legends, the book of Jasher is considered to be of great benefit to the reader. The article concluded with the injunction to treat it according to the Elohim's advice on how to study the Apocrypha. The article goes on to quote the church stance on the Apocrypha. Verily, thus saith the Elohim unto you concerning the Apocrypha, there are many things contained therein that are true, and it is mostly translated correctly. There are many things contained therein that are not true, which are interpolation by the hand of men. Verily, I say to you, that it is not needful that the Apocrypha should be translated. Therefore, whoso readeth it, let him understand, for the Spirit manifesteth truth. And whoso is enlightened by the Spirit shall obtain benefit, and whoso receiveth not by the Spirit cannot be benefited. Therefore it is not needful that it should be translated. Amen. In the early 1800s, Moses Samuel of Liverpool, what a name, Liverpool, England, was given a copy of the 1625 AD Hebrew work Jasher. He found was written in the theological or rabbinical type of Hebrew, which is more classical Hebrew. Samuel translated the text into English and in 1839 sold it to the Mordecai Manuel Noah, a Jewish New York publisher who published it in 1840. Copyright of the translation was obtained by J. H. Perry and Company in Salt Lake City, who published it in 1887. Samuel's translation was written in Elizabethan or King James English and contained archaic words, phrases, and idioms. The translation offered here is taken from the J. H. Perry translation with all archaic language and idioms edited and restated in modern English. According to Bernard Warstein, in the Transaction of the Jewish Historical Society in England, Volume 35, Samuel translated into English the pseudo-biblical book of Jasher, a supposedly ancient Hebrew text which Samuel convinced himself was authentic. After failing to persuade the Royal Asiatic Society to publish it, he sold his translation for 150 lira in 1839 to the American Jewish newspaper owner and philanthropist Mordecai M. Noah. There's another name. It appeared in New York the following year, but with Noah's name and not Samuel's on the title page. He stole the manuscript. I did not put my name to it as my patron, and myself differed about its authenticity. Samuel later explained. This was odd, since Noah seemed to have had a lower opinion of the work's authenticity than Samuel. The translation was accepted as accurate, but the publication provoked criticism by scholars who rejected the claims made on behalf of the text. It won acceptance, however, by the Mormon prophet Joseph Smith. Oh boy. The prophet Joseph Smith's attraction to the book was due in part to the history contained in the preface of the book. According to the history documented in the preface of the book of Jasher, Titus destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, but the book was miraculously rescued at that time. During the destruction of the Jewish temple, a Roman officer named Sidrus discovered a Hebrew scholar hiding in a library. The officer took the scholar and all the books safely back to his estate in Seville, Spain. The manuscript was transferred to the Jewish college in Cordova, Spain. The book was kept there until its printings in Venice in 1625. There is no evidence to substantiate these claims, but there is nothing to conclusively dismiss the claims either. In reality, it is possible that a Jew living in Spain or Italy may have penned the book, but we have no way to be definite regarding the date of the writing of the original book. Part of the confusion arises from the fact that Jasher seems to be a compilation of several stories gathered by priests over many generations. Most of the stories in history contain reliable, authentic Jewish terms and traditions. It is the weight of these correct facts and references that led credence to the authenticity of the seed literature that formed Jasher. Scholars view Jasher with much skepticism due to the absence of any evidence or mention of the book prior to 1625. The basis of the stories contained in Jasher are mythologically old, but the book itself has not been found in its present form prior to the printing in the 1600s. However, it is the opinion of the editor that Jasher will offer some insight into the murky and sometimes sparse historical landscape of Genesis. At the least, we may state that the book reflects what the priestly scholars who wrote the book believed. The text presented here represents an accurate version of the book of Jasher rendered in modern English. Although the book was translated in the 1800s, the translator chose to use the more stilted and less accessible Elizabethan or King James style of English in order to add weight and religious authenticity to the text. This made the book less than pleasant to read for the modern audience. In the translation before you, archaic words and expressions were replaced with their modern counterparts. A word-for-word replacement was not attempted. When an archaic word needed to be replaced with a phrase for the purpose of clarity, this technique was embraced so as to render the text readily understandable. Sorry about that. It is our sincere hope our goal was accomplished and the reader will find this version interesting and easy to read. Okay? And that gives us the introduction to Jasher. I find it very interesting that the Mormons accept this. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, we'll see how this translation goes. We'll read it and we'll see. And you guys tell me what you think. Okay? Alright. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make this a short video tonight because we're just doing the introduction, and get ready because on Thursday we're going to dive into this. I'm not sure exactly yet how many chapters at a time we're going to take on. I'm going to pre-read it and we'll see how long each chapter is before we decide how many chapters in each study. But we'll figure it out. Alright? Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this gets you interested. I hope that you're interested in this study because Jasher is definitely a 64 box of crayons. And we're getting ready to color in the pictures. Okay? Alright. Thanks for joining me. Y'all have a great week. Yah bless each and every one of you. And we'll see you for our midweek Bible study where we will be starting the book of Numbers. Okay? All right. Y'all have a great evening. Shalom.